Hi, Brian Fisher, Focal Point, AFR Talk, back with you. Great to have you in the conversation. If you want to join the program, 888-589-8840 is the number to call, 888-589-8840. And again, just to close the loop on that equal pay for women deal, again, Barack Obama, hypocrisy alert here. He's out there scoring Mitt Romney for being against this Fair Pay Act. He doesn't even obey it himself. He doesn't even follow the law himself. He's the one that says we got to have equal pay for women. They got to make the same that men do. But in his own White House, he pays male staffers 18% more than he pays female staffers. And when he was a United States Senator, he paid the average male staffer $8,000 more a year than he paid the female staffers. I think if Jesus was there, he would say to Barack Obama, physician, heal thyself. I alluded to this yesterday. Economist Diana Furchtgott-Roth, she's done an extensive study of this, and she indicates that a woman who has the same education, same experience, makes 95% of what a man does. You know, the thing out there is they only make 77 cents on the dollar. A woman only gets 77 cents for every dollar a man gets. But she makes the point that, look, they pick different professions. You've got women go into social work. Men go to work as investment. I mean, this is obviously generalization, but you get the point. Women gravitate toward different positions. So you might have a woman decides to be a social worker. A guy decides to be an investment banker. A woman might want to be an English literature major, but a male might want to be an engineer. You might have a woman that wants to be an administrative assistant. You got a guy that wants to go down there and chop down trees. And that's going to make a difference. There's risk involved in some of the manual labor. You look at the statistics of the number of people that die on the job. I mean, 90% of them are men because they're the ones that are involved in these hazardous occupations, whether it's construction, whether it's road building, whether it is logging. So if you leach out all of those differences, women with same education, same background, same training, doing the same job, the pay differential is less than 5%. And part of that is because women want more flexibility. They want to be able to do birthdays. They want to go to school productions. They want to make parent-teacher conferences. They want a work environment that makes it it makes it easier for them to take parental leave and all that kind of stuff. And all of that goes into the gap in wages. 888-589-8840. Let's play this Frank Luntz, his interview with his focus group. These are Obama voters in 2008. Here is their reaction to the debate and what they had to say. We'll start with Frank Luntz's overall assessment. You'll hear some of this focus group reaction. Let's listen.
Sean, we had a remarkable change here. I want to know a word or phrase to describe Mitt Romney's performance tonight.
Forceful, compassionate, presidential.
Confident and realistic.
Presidential.
Presidential and enthusiastic.
Our next president.
Dynamo winner.
Knowledgeable and sincere.
Steady and articulate.
Now, Vicki, you didn't vote. You voted for Obama in 2008.
That's correct.
So what is it about?
He seems on the defensive, and he's always ready to get a debate issue or not stay on track.
And you voted for Obama.
Yes. He just didn't deliver, and in the two debates, he didn't explain anything. He didn't show what you're going to do for the future, and I can't take 4 more years of the same.
I think there's a lot of people agree with that guy. That's why I think Romney's up 51-45 nationwide in the Gallup poll. You get over 50%. I think Karl Rove said, look, nobody that's broken 50% this late in the campaign has ever lost an election. And I think he's probably right about that. I think the wind are right now behind Governor Romney's sails. Now, here is Paul Ryan. Let's go back to clip 6. Paul Ryan saying, look, Obama's got a real problem. And I think Romney's going to beat him about the head and shoulders on Monday in the foreign policy debate over Libya. People got over on Romney because he wasn't forceful enough on Libya, passed up an opportunity. He's got an entire debate Monday night where he can do nothing but go after Obama on Libya, and I believe he will. And remember, Obama is the one, for 2 weeks, he went to the UN. 6 times he said the problem here was the movie wasn't an act of terror, it was a mob protest. This was, we understand the outrage. This was a terrible thing this movie did. We understand the outrage in the Muslim world. It's all about the movie. 2 weeks he was saying that. But then at the debate, he was saying, oh, no, I was out there calling this thing an act of terror the next day. And here's what Paul Ryan had to say about that. Let's listen.
Nobody believed at that Rose Garden speech that the president was suggesting that that particular attack was an act of terror.
The direct quote from the president, "No acts of terror will ever shake the resolve of this great nation."
Right. It was a passing comment about acts of terror in general. It was not a claim that this was the result of a terrorist attack. Why else, if that was the case, George, then why send Susan Rice out 4 days later to say this was the result of a spontaneous mob reacting to a YouTube video? Why go on The View? Why go on these other shows and not say the same thing? Look, that doesn't even hold water. What's troubling about this is that as we learn more about it, these facts just don't add up.
So that's Paul Ryan, and he's exactly right. Why is Susan Rice out there 5 days later going on 5 talk shows saying it's all about the movie? Why is Obama going to the UN saying 6 times it's about the movie? If he was saying the day after this was an act of terror, just simply does not add up. Now, let's grab clip number 8. Let's finish with this, and we'll go to the phones, 888-589-8840. You know, we have been boycotting Home Depot. AFA has for a couple of years now because of their aggressive promotion of the homosexual agenda. Here is Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, ladies and gentlemen, our good buddy, Reverend Al, calling for a boycott of Home Depot. This is Reverend Al Sharpton joining the American Family Association in calling for a boycott of Home Depot. Now, the reason Al Sharpton is he doesn't like what Bernie Marcus is saying about Barack Obama. Bernie Marcus is the founder of Home Depot. Bernie Marcus hasn't been at Home Depot for a decade, but he's been out there saying, look, President Obama is lethal for American business. And Reverend Al says that means we got to boycott the Home Depot. Let's listen.
We can do much better than Barack Obama.
The Republican Jewish Coalition is responsible for this advertisement. Join us.
Maybe we should be looking at how many stores y'all could build without us buying from Home Depot. I think that we've got to start getting back into targeting some of these companies because a lot of these guys are very arrogant with our money in their pocket. And I think that we need to deal with that. And now he's a founder. I'm trying to research to see if he's connected right now to the Home Depot or whether they put out a statement. But, you know, I was saying in the board meeting this morning on National Action Network, these companies have gotten very cocky with our money. They have the right to whatever position they want to take, but they don't have the right to our money.
So that's Reverend Al calling for a boycott of Home Depot. Welcome to the party, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go back to the phones. Let's grab a call from Paul in Wilmington, North Carolina. Paul, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Yeah, I think we just have a total unawareness, even on the right, even on the conservative side, about Islam in general. They talk about radical Islam, and the issue is fundamental Islam. You know, the core doctrine. The Muslims that we don't have to be concerned with are those who really don't hold fast to the teachings of Muhammad, especially the latter teachings when he was in Medina, where he became, you know, in Islam, a lot of people don't know that it's interpreted as progressive revelation. I mean, the later writings supersede what he wrote at first.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's called the principle of abrogation. People need to understand that because you'll have Muslims quote these softer verses. Well, they were from the early part of Muhammad's career when he was trying to make nice with the Jews and the Christians. They wouldn't buy in his swill, so then he got nasty and mean. And those later verses cut their heads off. And according to the principle of interpretation of abrogation, the later verses, the violent verses, supersede the earlier ones.
And on his deathbed, he said, you know, to kill Jews wherever they found them. And, you know, that it was okay. It's okay in the teaching of Muhammad to lie and to cheat, to do whatever's necessary to further the cause of Islam. And we need to wake up on both sides. I noticed, you know, Mitt Romney said we're all God's children. We're all God's creation. We're not all his children, including Mr. Romney. But we need to wake up about the dangers of Islam. You know, not everybody out there is out to blow us up. And as we see this student and issuing student visas to anyone who wants to come here under the guise of getting an education, we've really got to look close at that.
Yeah, and I appreciate the call, and that's exactly right, Paul. You know, and they were saying about this guy, his 21-year-old student, and his roommates, people lived around, had no idea. Had no idea he was plotting to blow up the Federal Reserve. And that's my point. How can you tell? I mean, you can't tell the difference between the Muslims we've got to worry about and the Muslims we don't. I'm not saying we have to worry about every Muslim. I'm not saying that. I'm not generalizing and saying every Muslim wants to blow up the Federal Reserve building. But the point is some of them do, and we have no way of telling the difference between them. And the so-called moderate Muslims, they won't help us. They don't help us identify the Muslims we've got to worry about. So I think we need to be concerned about them all. Let's go to Lynn in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Lynn, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Oh, I was just going to say that whenever they asked for troops over in Libya, and they was like, well, they didn't have all the intelligence or whatever. But if it would have been a kid at a school and they would have had a bomb or whatever, and so they had a bomb, they would have been sending everybody out of the school and getting everybody over there to figure it out. And I just was going to see, what you say. They wouldn't just sitting around and say, well, y'all just wait here and let's just see if he's got a bomb or not. They'd make them get out of the school to check it out. And anyway.
Yeah. Well, what, it's interesting. The liberals are saying, hey, this was entrapment. They kind of tricked this guy into doing it. Nothing of the sort happened. And fortunately, the FBI was working with them, and so they knew that the bomb was a fake bomb, wasn't actually going to go off. And so they didn't have to really do the evacuation thing because they were tracking this guy. They were working with him. He thought they were friendlies. He thought they wanted to help him blow up the Federal Reserve building. And so they didn't have to do the evacuation thing. But you're exactly right. We tend to be asleep at the switch when it comes to the threat of Islam. And our last caller is exactly right. There may be moderate Muslims, and thank God for every one of them, but they're not the ones we have to worry about, and we need to understand there is no such thing as moderate Islam. There may be moderate Muslims, and there are many of them. There is no such thing as moderate Islam. Well, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Don't forget to bow low before God, stand tall before man, stand in the gap, and never forget, ladies and gentlemen, we are fighting a winnable war. God bless you. See you tomorrow.